we're going to focus on the passages that compare Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, because
that would be an
as we all know,
yeah.
that's a really apt comparison.
Yeah.
Right?
No, it is, and many sports fans have these sorts of
it's a ridiculous comparison, but anyway,
arguments all the time. So
let's get to it.
On leadership, Steve, one of the biggest differences between the two stars, from my perspective, was Michael's superior skills as a leader. Though at times he could be hard on his teammates, Michael was masterful at controlling the emotional climate of the team with the power of his presence. Kobe had a long way to go before he could make that claim. He talked a good game, but he'd yet to experience the cold truth of leadership in his bones, as Michael had in his bones. So yeah, pretty strong stuff there.
Yeah, I mean,
like, that's a diss. I mean,
those are harsh words.
Yeah.
But I actually think Phil Jackson's spot on. Kobe Bryant, talent-wise, I mean, he's unbelievable. Work ethic-wise, also unbelievable. And I love him for that. And I'm a lifetime Lakers fan, but I have a hard time loving Kobe. And here's why. I think he's a bad leader, and some of it's not really his fault, because he came into the league when he was young. He came into the league and joined a team that had, you know, these veterans, accomplished veterans. So they don't want to listen to some teenager. He was 17 when he came in, and you know, he was on his PlayStation playing games. He was also, he grew up kind of affluent. He was in Italy for some portion of that. So he just didn't have the opportunities to be a leader the way Jordan did when he came into the league. I mean, he just never really developed into the leader that he could have been. And he's gotten a lot better the last few years, but he was, I think he was a bad teammate and a bad leader for much of his career.
What makes you say that?
Well, a couple of things. He has a very selfish way of playing, and this is the reason why I go insane about Kobe, because I get so frustrated. At the end of games, he wants the glory at all costs, even if it lessens his the team's chance of winning. He always takes a shot.
And statistically, he does.
Statistically, it's been proven that he's not a clutch player. He's terrible in the clutch, absolutely terrible. Like, if I'm playing on a team where someone is taking selfish shots, I'm less inclined to run back on defense. I'm less inclined to make the cut, because if I make the cut to the basket, I'm not going to get the ball anyway.
Understood, but don't you respect that guy because of, not necessarily the territory, but because he is, he has been in the league for so many years, and he's sort of gained that respect that he can get away with taking those crummy shots, because you know that if he, you know what, if he hits that one, then he's going to make his next 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I know.
Don't you gain that respect?
But I don't like that kind of basketball. I want him to trust his teammates.
But that could just be your personal preference.
I understand that. But that's why he's not the leader that Michael Jordan is.
No question, Michael was a tougher, more intimidating defender, says Phil Jackson. He could break through virtually any screen and shut down almost any player with his intense, laser-focused style of defense. His laser-focused style of defense. Kind of like you at Merman. And then we have Kobe. In general, Kobe tends to rely more heavily on his flexibility and craftiness, but he takes a lot of gambles on defense and sometimes pay the price. Jordan was also more naturally inclined to let the game come to him and not overplay his hand, whereas Kobe tends to force the action, especially when the game isn't going his way. When his shot is off, Kobe will pound away relentlessly until his luck turns. Michael, on the other hand, would shift his attention to defense or passing or setting screens to help the team win the game.
I recall many games where Jordan would shoot, you know, 6 for 20. That's a bad shooting night. But he would
do the things that don't show up in the box.
I mean, he would get to the free throw. He would get the assists. He would get, you know, tip balls. He would set the screens, and you could see the way he's tangibly helping the team win, and intangibly as well through leadership. And unfortunately with Kobe, that's another source of frustration for me when he takes bad shots.
So it seems like you and Phil Jackson are on the same level, because you're saying really that he's me, and yet Phil is saying, yeah, he was me.
Yeah. I mean, I really dislike Phil Jackson because I think he's so smug and so self-righteous, but he's spot on this.
Michael was more charismatic and gregarious than Kobe. He loved hanging out with his teammates and security guards, playing cards, smoking cigars, and joking around. It's probably because Phil smokes peyote. That's probably why he's in favor of this. Kobe is different. He was reserved as a teenager, in part because he was younger than the other players and hadn't developed strong social skills in college with his teammates. But his inclination to keep to himself shifted as he grew older. Increasingly, Kobe put more energy into getting to know the other players, especially when the team was on the road. So, okay, I have mixed feelings about this one, because I have heard stories about how competitive Jordan was and how even on the golf course he was so uberly competitive that it ruined the game for some of the other players.
With
and
ping
also,
pong and,
I was going to say the ping pong story that I believe you told me.
Yeah, I mean, during Jordan's prime years in the NBA, I mean, he had fierce battles with the Knicks, with the Pacers, but no one openly and defiantly talked shit about him. I mean, the players had respect for him, and they tread carefully when it was about Jordan. Kobe was different. Players openly talk crap about him. You know, he had the open feud with Ray Allen, with Raja Bell. I mean, Ruben Patterson was calling himself the Kobe stopper. I mean, people just didn't respect Kobe the way they respected Jordan.
Kobe was hell-bent on surpassing Jordan as the greatest player in the game. His obsession with Michael was striking. When we played in Chicago that season, I orchestrated a meeting between the two stars, thinking that Michael might help shift Kobe's attitude towards selfless teamwork. I underline that. After they shook hands, the first words out of Kobe's mouth were, "You know I can kick your ass one-on-one." That's a little low and surprising, because you know we're talking. We just went from he emulates the guy to talking shit to him. Right.
First of all, one-on-one basketball to me is not basketball. It's just not.
I still think it is.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a different form of basketball.
It's not. It's a different game. It's like having a free throw shooting contest is not a game of basketball. It's an element.
It's a form.
Yeah, it's an element of the overall game.
Yeah. So aside from the one-on-one, when Phil Jackson, by the way, do you? I guess this is just your opinion, because as you said, you're not the biggest Kobe guy. However, when he kind of outs him like this, are you okay with that? Are you okay with hearing these sorts of things? I mean, I'm sure Kobe is not. I'm sure Kobe's a little sour about it.
No, Kobe's pissed.
Like if I were to publish a book about what I hear at TYT and I outed you about some of the stuff you said.
I would love it. I love
you
publicity.
would?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, write that book.
My book's coming soon, actually.
Is it cool that Phil Jackson did it? Of course it's cool. It's totally fine. It's fair game. I mean, you're part of all of this. Now, Kobe has every right to write a book about, you know, Phil Jackson's coaching versus, I don't know, Mike Brown.
Kobe put out on Twitter, the comparisons are #apples to oranges. Wonder what the perception would be if M, as in MJ, played with Shaq instead. Different roles, different career paths are the final two hashtags. Just to break it down really quickly, Michael Jordan had one NBA Defensive Player of the Year. Kobe did not. 6 NBA Finals MVPs, 5 MVPs total, 9-time All-Defensive First Team. Kobe Bryant, 2-time Finals MVP, 9-time All-Defensive Team, 1 MVP. I'm shocked that he only won 1 MVP, by the way. So do you agree with Kobe's tweet? Do you think it's just different career paths? It shouldn't, we shouldn't make these comparisons, except for Phil Jackson, I suppose.
Yes, I think Kobe makes a very fair point. But I think if Jordan had Shaq, they would have won like 10 in a row.
Instead of Luke Longley and Bill Cartwright?
Yeah. Dwayne Wade won a championship with half a Shaq. He didn't have Shaq in his prime. If Dwayne Wade had Shaq in his prime, they would have won 3 in a row. So
well, they had James Posey too. You got to bring that up, obviously.
They did. James Posey was huge that series. I like to count Finals MVPs rather than comparing rings, because look, Samaki Walker I think has more rings than Charles Barkley. No one thinks Charles Barkley's not as good as Samaki Walker. I like to compare Finals MVPs, because that means you won it all and you were the top dog that made it all happen. So Kobe has 2 of those. Jordan has 6.
It's
It's not close.